Alright guys, so many people consider the Dragon Ball Super manga to be superior even to the anime. Now, I've never really done a lot of videos or discussions or anything regarding the actual Dragon Ball Super manga, but, you know, with the TV anime basically out of air for so long now, we're on 5 months, you know, without the anime being on air, I do want to start sort of talking about the Dragon Ball Super manga, and it's going in a direction where I like a lot of the stuff that happens in the manga. Like, I like Toyotaro's direction, but at the same time, he does tend to change things that sort of don't need to be changed. Like, he'll make changes just for the sake of seemingly making changes, right? That kind of just lead to more problems, inconsistencies, things like that. So I do kind of want to go through, what I'm going to do today is we're going to talk about mainly chapter 38, but I want to, just talk briefly about chapter 37. Chapter 39 will be released in the this month's version of V-Jump. So, in a few days or so, we should get like the full manga scans. We'll probably, it'll be translated and stuff quickly, and I'll do a video on chapter 39. Now, chapter 38, basically the big event that takes place here, of course, is Kale and Kefla's fusion into Kefla. Now, there's, let's just jump into it. Let's just start talking about Kale and Kefla kind of in the manga and how they stack up. Now, before we get into it, one thing I do also really want to say is I am a big fan of the art. Like, Toyotaro's art is incredible. The Dragon Ball Super manga looks so good. So I always have to start these videos out by saying that. Like, both chapter 37 and 38, which we're looking at today, look fantastic. Now, the Tournament of Power has played out quite a bit differently in the manga than it did in the anime. There are many differences. In chapter 37, Kefla and Frieza start fighting to the point where Frieza begins beating Kefla down, right? That does make sense that, Frieza and, Golden Frieza would be stronger than Kefla, right? That's very consistent, I would say. Now, Kabe jumps in. Kabe also gets torched. He's not capable of fighting against Golden Frieza, and if you guys remember, Golden Frieza is the one who eliminated Kabe in the anime as well, so we got that. Now, the one thing I do think is a little interesting, and it kind of, like, judging from what happens in chapters 38 and 39, we see Kale. Base form Kale is actually able to get the drop on Golden Frieza, and then once Kale goes into her Super Saiyan form, which is kind of like the legendary Super Saiyan or Berserker Super Saiyan. See, this is a lot more relevant and interesting now, too, I think, because obviously we know the Broly movie is coming at the end of the year. I heard that Toyotaro is going to, like, cover the Broly movie in the manga, so, like, Toyotaro, like, he's well aware of all the details and stuff that's going to happen, so when I see certain things said in the manga about, like, sort of Kale's transformation, it does clue me into, like, oh, okay, these are going, like, dropping hints towards Broly and stuff. Like, the very last panel of chapter 37, the last couple panels, what happens is Kale basically is really getting at Golden Frieza, knocking Frieza back to the point where Goku actually steps in to help Frieza in Super Saiyan Blue form. It does appear as though Goku is able to handle Kale, but she just continues to increase her power more and more to where she would have gotten a clean shot on Goku, but Frieza is able to knock Goku out of the way. Now, after this, Kale powers up again, which shocks both Goku and Frieza, and then we get this exposition from Vados. Vados says, this is likely the first time Kale has released her own strength. While being engulfed by such a massive amount of power, you can lose your mind and reason. Now, thinking about, what was going on with Broly in the early Dragon Ball Z movies, that sounds very familiar. By the second Broly movie, he was basically an animal, right? He wasn't really having too much coherent thought there. Vados continues to say, if she continues to lose all control like this, this tournament will be the least of our worries. Which is very interesting, again, considering Broly is coming up. Now, moving into chapter 38, Kale goes on this vicious rampage and proceeds to basically eliminate half of the contestants of the Tournament of Power. Universes 2, 3, 4, and 10 all get, like, basically completely eliminated by Kale. She is just running through, absolutely destroying people. Now, I do, like, there's nothing inherently wrong with that, I think. It's just, like, Kale, I don't know if I like Kale bodying Golden Frieza the way she did. Now, if we're going to say, like, Golden Frieza was, you know, suppressed or not really going all out and just got surprised by Kale, gotcha. That does make sense. That's fine. That vibes with, you know, what's going on. At one point in Kale's rampage, you know, knocking off fighters from all types of universes, she actually flies through and she gets a clean shot on both Toppo as well as Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and knocks them back. Again, considering, like, you know, just kind of like a surprise shot, like, I don't think, like, her hitting them, like, it's not really a big deal or anything like that. What's, like, noteworthy about this, though, is that both Vegeta and Toppo are actually going to be knocked off of the ring, and Vegeta actually uses what appears to be the Spirit Sword, Vegito's Spirit Sword. So, this is interesting. This is the type of thing that Toyotaro does tend to do. I don't have a problem with this. Like, it's kind of like a wink and a nod. Like, hey, listen, you know, we've seen Vegito in his 2 appearances, you know, in Dragon Ball Z and then in Dragon Ball Super when fighting Birds of Masu and Buhan. You know, he did use the Spirit Sword, right? So it would make sense to me that Goku or Vegeta could do the Spirit Sword or some sort of variant or something like that, because, like, they have their memories of Vegito, right? So we see Vegeta use the Spirit Sword to kind of propel himself back into the ring, which is cool. I actually did kind of like that moment a lot. One thing I would say is very disappointing, though, is Universe 3 does bust out Anaraza here, just like what happened in the anime. If you guys remember, the Anaraza episode was actually pretty exciting. You know, Anaraza had some Janemba-like abilities. He was very powerful to the point where, you know, basically, you know, Golden Frieza, Ultimate Gohan, Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta, and Android 17 all had to work together to stop Anaraza. It was a really cool moment. And then Android 18 was also eliminated in that episode, right? Well, here in the manga, they fuse to become Anaraza, and Kale just one-shots him. Like, it's ridiculous. When I first saw that, I was like, whoa! Okay. I will admit, like, I did very much like the Anaraza episode in the anime, and I really did prefer how things went down in the anime than Kale just, like, very casually, like Anaraza doesn't even attack. He literally is on, like, 2 panels. It's craziness. And he just gets absolutely bodied. Again, Kale does continue on and eliminate other universes as well, to the point where I believe it's only Universe 6, Universe 7, and Universe 11 even left in the Tournament of Power at this point in the manga. Now, Kale at this point continues to go out of control and actually knocks off both Autumn Megetta as well as the 2 Namekians from Universe 6. Now, I really didn't like so much the way the Namekians from Universe 6 were fodderized here in the manga too. That was another thing in the anime. I actually really liked that episode. Like, the scene where, you know, Piccolo, like, we kind of have, like, that vision of his consciousness or whatever, and we see, like, Nail and Kami there, and, like, Piccolo realizes, you know, what's going on with the other 2 Namekians, that they basically had, you know, fused with their entire race to create, like, 2 super Namekians. And then, like, the whole Gohan and Piccolo versus them, a lot of that fight did take place off screen, but it was still, it was interesting, it was entertaining, like, it was a good show. But here, like, they just are like, hey, Kale, can you chill, please? And Kale just blows them away. It's like, oh, well, okay. I guess the Namekians are turned into fodder-level characters at this point. Like, I thought that was kind of a cool idea. Like, all of the Namekians basically combining into one and, you know, having like a very high level of power that would enable them to participate in this tournament. Like, it's like, okay, that does kind of like that works for me. I think that's interesting. But Toyotaro, I guess he wasn't too thrilled with that one so much. Now, Kabe and Kefla, they begin to talk, and Kabe actually kind of throws it out there that Kale is, like, you know, a legendary Saiyan. You know, she's going to continue to increase in power, go berserk and all that stuff, and, like, they need to stop her, they need to get her to come back to her senses. So Kabe runs up to her, and then Kale just goes to, like, you know, one-shot him and knock him out of the ring, where Vegeta actually saves him and pulls him back. Now, this... to me, this is like one of the worst things the manga has done. I thought the Vegeta and Kabe stuff in the anime was like very good. It was like a lot of Vegeta's growth and development in Dragon Ball Super was his relationship with Kabe. I thought that added a lot more to Vegeta's character than just kind of the... I know everyone loves it from Dragon Ball Z, you know, the I'm the Princess Saiyans, you know, fuck Kakarot, you know, I'm gonna be number one, but, you know, in the Buu Saga, he does say, like, oh, yeah, you know, Kakarot, you know, he's number one, and then, like, in Dragon Ball Super, they're kind of, like, just, like, in the first episode, it was actually episode 2, Vegeta's just like, you know what, I'm gonna be the strongest, like, they kind of lost sight of it a bit, but I think, like, moving forward, how Vegeta is in the Future Trunks arc, and then, you know, kind of what they do with Kabe in Universe 6 arc, and then also in Turn of Power, like, that really worked for me. Like, I really liked, like, when Vegeta went into his Super Saiyan Blue Evolution form in the anime, it was because, like, he was thinking about, like, the promise he made to Kabe. Like, it's this scene right here. Like, Vegeta and Kabe are talking in the anime, and, like, Vegeta's like, yo, you promised you were going to introduce me to your king. I'm going to hold you to that. So I'm going to win. I'm going to get the Dragon Balls. I'm going to wish y'all back, and you're going to take me to go meet your king. We're going to do that. Like, that was cool. And then, like, when Kabe in Universe 6 is eliminated, like, we see how angry and frustrated, like, even though Vegeta kind of knew it was going to happen, we see his frustration. Like, he does, Kabe, you know, it's kind of like almost like a joke or a meme, the way that Kabe calls Vegeta, like, master and stuff, and Vegeta's just kind of like, you know, like, he turns away, but, like, you can see that Vegeta actually does feel that, too. So, he is very upset when Kabe is eliminated, and then furthermore, when Jiren is pushing Vegeta back, it seems as though, like, you know, keeping that promise to Kabe, you know, making sure that Bra is not erased immediately after she's born, allows Vegeta to get that Evolution Blue power, and really, it just builds up to Vegeta, his character being more than just like, you know, I'm gonna be the best, so fuck everyone else. Like, I really, really like that. And here in the manga, like, the interaction between Vegeta and Kabe it's not really like how it is in the anime. Like, Vegeta, he basically off-panel, Kabe explains to Vegeta what's going on with Kale, and this is actually interesting for the Broly movie as well, but Vegeta kind of scoffs at that and says, like, that extreme transformation that emphasizes pure power is just going to leave you basically full of openings and holes in your, like, fighting style, right? And then, you know, sure enough, the Pride Troopers are able to take advantage of Kale's, you know, out-of-control berserk power, and they're actually, like, on the verge of eliminating her. So Vegeta doesn't really consider Kale a threat, which is interesting to me, because Broly, I presume, is going to be similar to Kale, and again, I'm also presuming that Vegeta is going to get bodied by Broly. Maybe that's not going to be the case, but that's kind of what I do expect to happen, right? Now, after that, Vegeta just sort of, like, walks away, and, like, they don't really, like, they don't have any of that, like, the dialogue, like talking about, you know, taking Vegeta to meet the king of planet Sadala, like, all that stuff. And I think, like, losing that hurts Vegeta a lot in the manga here compared to Vegeta in the anime Turn of Power. That's really, like the one thing that it's like, damn, like, if anything, Toyotaro, like, we had to keep that. It does seem as though Toyotaro, he does absolutely love, like, you know, the Android Saga Vegeta, you know, the Majin Vegeta, Pride, like, type Vegeta. And really, for me, I get why he's cool, but I thought the Tournament of Power in the anime is like the pinnacle of Vegeta in all of Dragon Ball, for me, personally at least. Now, shortly after the Vegeta stuff sort of wraps up, Kefla actually, like, she kind of just, like, you know, tugs her belt, or, you know, just kind of like a normal thing, right? Like, Goku, like, prepares for a fight, and, like, he'll tighten his belt or something, right? Well, Kefla sort of kind of does that, and Potara earrings fall from her pants, and then Kabe is like, yo, what's that? And then she basically mentions that she snatched them off of the Universe 6 Supreme Kai. Now, Champa actually sees that and is like, yo, okay, they should have Kefla and Kale fuse. That is, you know, our great chance here. So, basically, the end of the chapter is Kabe and Kefla trying to get the other Potara earring onto Kale so that Kefla and Kale can fuse. Kale is basically on the verge of being eliminated when Kabe sort of flies in, grabs her, puts the earring on her ear, and then sort of knocks her back in the ring, at the same time sacrificing himself. So I believe all that's left from Universe 6 in the ring at this point is actually Kefla and Kale. Now, Kabe knocks Kale back into the ring. She's got the Potara earring on, but she's sort of like, not really unconscious, but not really like all there, right? She's still sort of in her berserker mode. Now, Kefla puts the other earring on, and then bam, Kefla and Kale actually fuse together into Kefla. Now, I do like, because it is kind of the same thing that happens in the anime where, well, Beerus and Krillin are kind of like, whoa, wait a minute, Potara? Nah, bro. That's against the rules, is it not? And it's cool because we see Champa look over at the two Zeno-samas, and they're like, oh, yeah, fusion, bro. Fusion is awesome. So it's like, oh, okay, they're good. Like, that's kind of how it happened in anime, too, where, like, something would happen, and everyone's like, uh-oh, what's going on? Like, is this against the rules? And then the Zenos are like, yo, that's sick. And then the Grand Priest is just like, hey, they said it's good to go. I do sort of really like that innocence of the Zeno-samas, right? It is pretty fun. Now, after this, obviously, as we could expect, Kefla proceeds to body the Pride Troopers. She, as my boy Darkskin would say, she zips them up. She basically puts the Pride Troopers in a body bag. She proceeds to kind of dart around and sort of break through their teamwork, because it's even mentioned by Beerus at one point that Universe 11, a lot of the Pride Troopers, they're not really too spectacular themselves, but their teamwork is A1, which allows them to really, like, kind of stay in a tight formation, and not a lot of them had been eliminated. I think until this chapter, I don't believe any of the Pride Troopers had actually been eliminated yet. But Kefla sort of puts an end to that and is able to take out quite a few of them. And Vados actually begins to talk about Kefla and says that, like, the fusion has led to the Ultimate Warrior, with Kale's sheer power and Kefla's sense for battle in one body. They're, you know, ridiculously strong, which all does make sense. Now, most of the Pride Troopers are taken out. Dispo and Castrol kind of get knocked close to Jiren. And here we sort of get a little bit of build up to Jiren, where Goku is like, yo, your boys are in trouble. You gonna help them out? And Jiren's like, nah, they're good. But Kefla is sort of walking towards them and actually is ready to actually fight both Jiren and Goku, seemingly. But then Gohan jumps in, knocks away a blast she had shot at them, and then says, like, you know, Father, Goku, go ahead, you go fight Jiren. I will take on Kefla. And then Gohan introduces himself to Kefla as a Saiyan who's born on Earth, and that's how the manga ends. So the next chapter, we are going to get into the battle of Gohan versus Kefla. Now, I will say I did enjoy chapter 38 here, but again, I mean, we'll see what happens in 39. If we see, no, man, I was going to say, if we could just get that scene with Kabe and Vegeta done properly, like I would say this chapter was fine, but because Kabe's already been eliminated, Vegeta and Kabe aren't going to be in close quarters like that probably before Universe 6 is actually erased. So we're not going to get a lot of that sort of character development and build up with Vegeta and Kabe that we did in the anime. So that really, really hurts this chapter for me. Like, I don't really have too much of an issue, I guess, with a lot of the other things that were going on. Again, it certainly does look very good, like most of the manga has, but that difference with the Vegeta and Kale scene, it's a real bummer for me. But there we go, guys. I guess I will go ahead and wrap it up. Again, in a few days when chapter 39 is sort of like fully released, I will go ahead and do another review of that one. I've seen some preliminary stuff in it, and people are already up in arms, but I actually want to, you know, sit down and go through all of the chapter to kind of see how it plays out before I make any snap judgments on a lot of the things that happen. So thanks for watching, y'all, and I'll catch y'all for the next one.